What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm doing some machine work up at my friend Nick Acton's shop, Acton Custom. I've worked on some projects up at his place before. He's got a modest little machine shop. Working on those tie rod plates that I'm now making from scratch and getting the factory tie rod mount taper insert for the tie rod end machined down in his lathe to get uniform, consistent overall diameter that I can then correlate to the design on the computer that I am CNC cutting out of steel for the new tie rod plate. So headed up to Nick's now. Duncan's coffee is in hand, obviously, and gonna show you a little bit of Nick's shop and get right to it.
It's got the dual quads.
Yep. That whole setup looks crazy. That whole side oiler setup.
Yes. Yeah, the remote oiling system.
Yeah.
Filter.
Does anyone ever dry sump those things? They don't have depth problems, do they? Or do some guys dry sump them?
It's funny, I had a guy walk in this morning from Maine, and he was all worried because he'd been looking on our website, the custom oil pans, and
Yeah.
he's got a 427 side oiler and a factory 5 Daytona coupe.
Does it sit like super low?
It's an inch below the frame rail.
Oh yeah.
And he's got that cast aluminum oil pan.
Yeah, one hit, nothing's done.
Yeah.
I've broken plenty.
Yeah.
I've broken plenty, and I've fixed plenty on the side of the road.
Oh yeah.
I keep quick steel, brake clean, sandpaper, and extra oil in every car I drive. I'm not joking.
When you rattle off the list like that.
Oh yeah,
I know you're not joking
no,
when
I'm not
when
making
you
that
give
up.
The whole list.
Oh yeah.
Seems pretty soft. It seems like it peels off there pretty easily.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how hard that was going to be.
And it'd have to be something relatively soft for them to weld it together in the original assembly. Because if it was hard and they were welding it, it would be inclined to be brittle and make cracks or crack in use.
So I've got one done. We went down to about 7/8 on this one. Getting them centered in the lathe has been like kind of the tricky part, since we're just using a 3/8 bolt in this tapered hole. And since they're getting welded into the tie rod plates, it's got some, I mean, having just like a mill off isn't going to be that big of a deal. So we're working on the second one now, getting like high spot figured out and trying to get it as centered in the jaws as possible.
And it's all been done by the instrument known as the ichrometer.
Ichrometer to Sharpie.
Oh yeah, that's industry standard.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty good. It looks pretty well centered on that part that you haven't touched.
That's good, as long as I can get it centered back where it was.
Yeah, it looks like it's translating pretty well.
Well, it was about 20 thou off on its highest side.
Yeah.
Or 10 off if it's 20 off all the way around. We've got the bushings cut down, right down to 7/8. So the 1/2-inch steel is about 12 mil, a little over 12 mil, and these are about 14. So that'll give me a little bit of a lip on top and bottom to weld to. So I just left Nick's, got the bushings turned down to a size that I wanted. Didn't film as much as I wanted to at Nick's. I feel like I say that all the time, but we get chit-chatting about stuff, and I just feel weird holding a camera up to him while we're talking. But one of these days I will film an episode of just going to Nick's. He even offered to like have me take his Cobra out, which is a CSX numbered car, but it started to rain a little bit and I wanted to get these bushings done. So I will do another episode at some point going up to Nick's and just film at Nick's, and we'll take his Cobra out. Maybe I'll get a chance to drive it. I think it'd be really cool to do an episode or even a podcast kind of talking to him about a bunch of stuff that he's got going on in the shop right now. But headed back to the shop and continuing on the Polo. All right, guys, so I'm in my laser shop right now making some critiques and some changes to the tie rod mount. Now that I've got the tapered inserts out of the factory tie rod mounts turned down to 7/8 of an inch, I can readjust my file because this hole here at the end was just for spacing purposes on mock-ups on the sleeves that they're going to be welded to. So going to cut one more out of cardboard, just make sure everything fits on the threaded sleeve okay, finalize the design and the shape with all the correct diameters, and then we'll hopefully be cutting it out of steel on my dad's table out of 1/2-inch thick steel. All right, so down in the shop now, got these inserts all cleaned up. After turning them on the lathe, the edges were all kind of burred. So got everything deburred, got a little bevel on them. Before we go to the table and start working on cutting the actual plate arm out, I'm gonna cut down the threaded pipe sleeves since I don't need anywhere near that type of length. So I've got one of them set up in the bandsaw at the moment. I'm gonna get that cut, jig the next one up, get that one cut, and then I think we'll be ready to go to the table and start plasma cutting some stuff. All right, so we messed around with the bushing holes. As you can see, there's a few different holes here on the table. With the 1/2-inch thick steel, we're cutting inside the line on my measurement. So basically we just cut a couple test holes to make sure this bushing would fit the way I want it to fit, so it's easier to weld in and the hole's not too large. It's not too small where you're doing a bunch of handwork. So we got it sorted out. So we're about to cut one of the first plates, and the hole for the threaded sleeve we haven't test cut yet, but I've upped that hole the same amount that I've upped the bushing hole that we have test fit. So we're just gonna go for it and cut an arm and see how it fits. He's just getting everything lined up right now. Having a machine that will pierce cut 1/2-inch steel is pretty incredible, because most of you guys know if you're making this by hand, you'd have a lot of handwork to do to get it to look as if it were cut out of a CNC machine.
I always think of that when I get ready to click on this as a Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butt.
Yeah, seriously, cutting that out of 1/2-inch steel as easily as that does is pretty crazy. Yeah, the table's a blessing for sure. right, guys, got the plates cut out, the steering arms from pre-pro laser cut out of cardboard to final product cut out of 1/2-inch steel. This arc light machine has just been an incredible tool to have in my father's shop. I'm so happy he pulled the trigger on that a few years ago. But just finished cleaning everything up, kind of smoothed the corners over, the edges and all that, and got the threaded pipe sleeves cut down. Those fit in now. And got the tapered inserts for the tie rod ends themselves that I turned down on Nick's lathe earlier, able to press in as well. So I will weld those up and hopefully get them powder coated. I'd like to get them powder coated. My friend who owns the powder coat shop is apparently headed to Disney World for a week. So if I paint them, I paint them. If I can squeeze them into the powder coat shop, then that's what happens. But we'll see what happens there. These don't sit all the way down when the plate's sitting on the ground on a flat surface because the threaded pipe sleeve is, I left that longer than the thickness of the arm so I can weld the bottom as well. I'll have a lip that protrudes out the bottom that I can weld up. Well, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Super happy with the progress on the front end of the Polo. Very happy. I'm in love with how professional these look. I don't think I'll ever consider myself a fabricator, but putting some of this stuff together is really cool. And when you make something that looks like stuff that the professionals do, really kind of makes you feel like you're learning something. And that's what it's all about. I love the growth. Super happy with the progress so far. Thank you guys so much for watching. The next episode will be my good friend Rob Mersaldi from Dent Patrol working his magic on the Polo. So actually tonight I've got to get over to the unit and start pulling all the interior out, door cards and all that. So tomorrow Rob can get in there and finesse his magic on all the little dings and dents on the Polo. So I'm going to be making an episode out of that. Hopefully it'll be nice weather and Rob can bring his Mark II GLI up, which is an awesome little rig. So stay tuned for the next episode. Excited to do another episode with Rob. He did some work on the Century before we left for Ocean City and Chattanooga last year. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next episode.